Well, an hour coming up of potentially quite some significance. In the next few minutes, Boris Johnson will take to his feet in the Commons and explain how his government wants people in England to live with COVID. Is expected to lift restrictions and put the emphasis for containing coronavirus on individuals and businesses rather than on the state. The legal obligation to self-isolate will become guidance to do so. Free testing, which is currently costing £2 billion every month, will come to an end for all but the most vulnerable. That's what we think is going to be announced. The move is not being followed in Scotland nor in Wales, where the Welsh Government called the decision, quote, premature and reckless. Dozens of scientists have signed an open letter deploring the decision. But for those who've campaigned for a return to some kind of normality, the PM's announcement, which we will, of course, bring to you live as it happens, is a major punctuation mark in Britain's pandemic story. Joining me throughout, the free speech campaigner Claire Fox, who will be listening to what the Prime Minister has got to say. Claire, welcome to you. It's nice to have you here. What do you want him to say?
Well, I think we all anticipate that he is going to go very hard on saying it's now up to us. We've got to take responsibility for our own health situation. We don't expect that you're going to all run around infecting each other, that you'll be sensible, and we trust you. Now, I hesitate because obviously I've been thinking, but you could have done that a while ago. And here he is saying it, maybe. But I would hope that he will basically hand us back the responsibility, and that's what we should have done a while ago.
No, those were library pictures.
Oh, good. He's not about. I suddenly thought he'd gone right. So the only other thing I'd say is that the difficulty we've all got, and this is something I'm not sure what's going to happen, is there's a lot of people who become rather reliant on these kind of rules. It kind of gives them a sense of certainty. And one of the things that is a bit nerve-wracking is that whilst it can say, well, it's only guidance and we'll let you make your own decisions, I think if you look at what's happened, for example, in care homes, where care home managers have almost refused to lift regulations when they've been officially lifted, and there are still people who are in terrible isolation, not being allowed to see relatives in care homes. You can see already that lots of workplaces are saying, oh, well, actually, we still won't let you, still should only come in 2 days a week.
Yep.
You know, I was in an Uber, and the guy said, well, you know, we don't know whether they're going to keep having these kind of rather daft restrictions and rules that we have to follow. So I think that it will be a great relief. I think it's quite brave, even if he's doing it for opportunistic reasons. But I don't think it will mean that we're quite free as a society.
I'm going to quote Tim Stanley. I recommend anybody who hasn't read his column in the Telegraph this morning to try and get hold of a copy, because I think it was one of those columns that sets the tone a little bit, part of which read, how do you persuade, this is Tim Stanley's question, how do you persuade a society that you have terrified and infantilised for 2 years that it is safe to go back in the water? He suggests that some of the nudging that was happening to nudge us in the direction of being terrified, as he would put it, ought to be used in the other direction now.
I think that we will require more than this statement today. I think what we need in terms of leadership, actually, we've seen a little from the Queen, to be fair. I mean, she said, I've got COVID, but I'm carrying on working, everybody. And you do think, oh, that's impressive. But that kind of leadership where you actually encourage people. So I don't want them to deploy, God, I never want them to deploy nudge again. And I don't know that boosterism quite is the antidote to fear-mongering. But what I genuinely think needs to happen is that people in public life should say, we now need to put all our energy into rebuilding social ties. We should stop being frightened of each other. So not just saying we'll lift and leave you to it, but also encourage, do what we can to give leadership, to say to universities, no, get everybody back to face-to-face teaching.
Yeah. Or charge less.
Or charge less. But, I mean, actually, they need face-to-face teaching. I mean, they're university students. They need to be part of a collegiate atmosphere at a university and actually learn the odd thing.
Claire, as do office workers.
And all of us, indeed.
As do we all. For now, Claire, thanks very much indeed. Back to you very soon. As soon as the Prime Minister takes to his feet, we will take you there live, of course.